What a wild time to be following the NBA, huh? We're just days away from the start of the regular season, and the energy around the league is absolutely buzzing. Media days are wrapping up, rosters are almost finalized, and teams are making those last-minute tweaks before things get real. And if you're a Celtics fan, you've got even more reason to be tuned in, because Boston just dropped a brand new City Edition jersey, and let me tell you, it's turning heads. So let's start right there. The Celtics revealed their new City jerseys, and they've got a slick gold trim with a clean, elegant feel. No green on this one, which is definitely a bold move, but it seems like they're leaning into the legacy vibe. The phrase, "the stuff of legends," was used in the reveal, and honestly, that's exactly the message this uniform is trying to send. It's more than just a look, it's a statement. A reminder that this franchise isn't just playing basketball. It's building on a legacy that stretches back decades. The Boston Celtics aren't just a team. They're part of basketball royalty, and they're dressing like it. But look, that jersey drop is just the surface. Around the league, things are getting chaotic in the best way. We've got rumors flying, trade talks heating up, and teams clearly not satisfied with where they currently stand. And no team seems more desperate right now than the Golden State Warriors. We're sitting here on September 25th, and Golden State still hasn't figured out what to do with Jonathan Kuminga. This dude has talent, no doubt, but the fit with the Warriors is murky at best. And now, it looks like they're actively trying to find a new home for him. According to multiple sources, there's growing buzz around a potential deal between the Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. That's right, those two teams are back in discussions, and the name at the center of it? Malik Monk. Now, Monk has been a key contributor off the bench for the Kings. He's the kind of guy who can swing games when he gets hot. But Sacramento seems to be willing to move him if it means bringing in someone like Kuminga, a young player with raw athleticism and untapped upside. That tells you something about where both teams are mentally right now, looking to shake things up before it's too late. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's chatter about a possible three-team trade, though it also involve the Boston Celtics. Yes, the Celtics could slide into this deal, help facilitate things, and solve a bit of their own problem in the process. The Celtics still need to get under the luxury tax line, and this kind of move could be their ticket. In this scenario, Boston would acquire Malik Monk and a throw-in player like Isaiah Jones, while also shedding about $8 or $9 million in salary. That's a pretty significant financial move. Monk would give them another shot creator off the bench, someone who can score in bunches and give the team a jolt when the starters need a breather. Golden State, on the other hand, would end up with Anthony Simons. Now that's a fascinating fit. Simons is basically a younger, higher upside version of Monk, someone who can handle the ball, create for himself, and stretch the floor. And with all the questions surrounding Golden State's bench depth, adding a guy like Simons could be a sneaky good move. As for the Kings, they'd walk away with Kuminga and Buddy Hield in this proposed trade. For Sacramento, that's a big bet on upside. Kuminga still hasn't fully broken out in the league, but maybe a fresh start is exactly what he needs. And Buddy Hield, say what you will about his defense, but the guy can shoot the lights out. That kind of floor spacing is always valuable. So from a roster standpoint, the deal actually makes a lot of sense across the board. The Celtics save money and add firepower. The Warriors swap Kuminga for a more polished scorer, and the Kings get younger while still adding proven shooting. But is it realistic? That's the real question. My gut says it's more likely that Golden State and Sacramento just deal with each other directly. The Celtics could hold off and reassess later in the season, closer to the trade deadline, when the stakes are clearer and the needs more defined. Now here's something else to think about. Even though Boston fans are all in on Anthony Simons, no one's denying his talent. The front office might not be as committed. There's been plenty of talk this offseason suggesting that the Celtics aren't exactly tied to Simons long-term. That's not to say they're rushing to trade him, but if the right deal comes along, especially one that helps with their salary cap situation, you better believe they're picking up the phone. And listen, Golden State is officially in scramble mode. We're late in the offseason, and they've barely made any significant moves. They can't afford to waste another year of Steph's prime, and they know it. So don't be surprised if something big drops soon. They're clearly hunting for a roster reset, and Kuminga's trade value might be the key to unlocking it. Shifting gears for a second, Let's talk about a guy who continues to earn the respect of Celtics Nation, Jason Tatum. He recently sat down for an interview and once again showed why he's the face of the franchise. Every time this guy speaks, you can feel the passion he has for being a Celtic. He doesn't just wear the jersey, he represents it. The way he talks about the history, the responsibility, the legacy of Boston basketball, it's rare. And it's genuine. We already knew Tatum was special on the court. But off the court, the way he's handled his recovery from injury, the pride he takes in representing the team, it's all added to his legend. And honestly, it's starting to feel like this upcoming season could be one of those defining chapters in his career. Coming back from an injury like the one he suffered in the playoffs, not just physically, but emotionally, could forge him into an even more focused version of the player we already know. And shout out to Joe MAZZULLA, too. The Celtics head coach has taken a lot of heat for his unconventional style, but no one can question his dedication to his players. We've heard stories now of MAZZULLA being there for Tatum every step of the way, at the facility, during rehab, first steps off crutches. That's not typical NBA coaching behavior. That's next-level investment, and it extends to the entire roster. Whether it's showing up for Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, or Derek White, MAZZULLA is building something bigger than just XS and OS. He's building trust. That kind of emotional leadership matters. It creates a bond that goes deeper than the game. And in a league where chemistry can often be the difference between a contender and a pretender, this stuff counts. Now, speaking of teams and players in flux, we got to bring up Walker Kessler. The Utah Jazz have reportedly decided not to extend him, meaning he's heading into restricted free agency next summer. And look, when a team doesn't lock in a promising young big man on a rookie deal, it usually means one of two things. Either they don't believe he's part of their future, or they know they can flip him for value before the trade deadline. Kessler is only making around $4 million this season, and for a team that needs size and rim protection, that's a bargain. We've mentioned him before as a possible fit for Boston. If things don't click with the current big rotation, or if injuries pile up, Kessler could be a name to watch. He averaged double-digit points, over 10 rebounds, and more than 2 blocks per game last season. That kind of production doesn't go unnoticed. And since we're talking about rising tension, one name that keeps popping up in the middle of all this offseason drama is Quentin Grimes. This guy is still sitting in restricted free agency limbo, and people are starting to wonder what exactly is going on behind the scenes. You got media day happening, preseason travel scheduled, teams flying overseas, and yet Grimes wasn't there. He wasn't on the floor, wasn't with the team, and that sparked all kinds of speculation. But let's be clear, Grimes isn't with the Sixers because he's not officially part of the Sixers yet. He hasn't signed anything. Until he does, he's not required to be involved in any team activities. Now, what's tricky about Grimes' situation is that there haven't been a lot of suitors publicly chasing him. The market for restricted free agents has become more complicated under the new CBA. Teams are being extremely cautious with how they spend their money and how they structure their rosters long-term. So a guy like Grimes, who's clearly a valuable rotation player with real two-way upside, ends up stuck in this weird gray area where no one wants to overpay, and his current team is just waiting it out. The Sixers seem likely to bring him back eventually. But that delay is a reflection of this new NBA climate, where flexibility is everything, and even solid young players can find themselves in contract purgatory. It's not just Grimes either. Look around the league. Cam Thomas had to settle for the qualifying offer in Brooklyn. That means he'll be playing this season on a short-term deal worth significantly less than he probably expected. And what does that mean for the Nets? Well, it sets up a really awkward dynamic. Cam's going to be playing for his next contract. He'll want to put up numbers, show out, prove he's worth starter money. But the Nets, based on their current direction, don't seem too eager to give him a massive role. That could create some friction, and you just know it's going to be one of the stories to watch during the year. Then there's Jonathan Kuminga. We already touched on him earlier, but his restricted free agency situation is another example of how complicated things have become. He's clearly got talent. He's shown flashes. But Golden State seems to have no idea how to fully utilize him. His development has stalled, and now he's a prime trade chip because the Warriors can't afford to be patient anymore. They need guys who can contribute right now. Steph's not getting any younger. Draymond's already dealing with injuries. Klay's status is always up in the air. This team is trying to win now, and Kuminga's long-term upside doesn't help them if he's just sitting on the bench. That's why teams like Sacramento have entered the chat. They're willing to bet on potential. And if the price is someone like Malik Monk, a great spark plug off the bench, but not a foundational piece, they might be willing to roll the dice. The Kings have made progress the last couple of seasons, but if they want to take another step in the Western Conference, they'll need to get creative. Adding someone like Kuminga might be risky, but it could also raise their ceiling in a big way. And looping it back to Boston, we have to talk about their own internal evaluations, because while they've got one of the deepest and most talented rosters in the league, the front office is clearly still tweaking things. One name that continues to surface is Peyton Pritchard. Now, don't get it twisted. Celtics fans love Pages. The energy, the hustle, the ability to knock down big threes and handle the ball in crunch time. He's carved out a role in Boston, and it's well-earned. But in trade rumors, anything's possible. Just because a player is beloved doesn't mean he's off-limits. That's the cold reality of the NBA. When someone like Bill Simmons casually brings up the possibility of Pritchard being moved, it grabs attention. Not necessarily because it's imminent, but because it shows that people around the league see how valuable he is. Still, if Boston's truly looking to get under the tax and reshape their rotation just a little, Pritchard's name might come up more often than fans are comfortable with. But so far, all signs point to the Celtics wanting to keep him around. He knows the system, he works hard, and he's one of those guys you can count on to be ready no matter how many minutes he gets. That kind of player matters in a long regular season. There's also this under-the-radar name that keeps popping up, Sam Hauser. Now, this guy can absolutely shoot. No one's questioning that. He's had games where he lights it up from deep and stretches defenses in a way that only a handful of role players can. But the problem is that production hasn't always translated to the postseason. Against top-tier playoff defenses, Hauser has struggled to make an impact. His shots don't fall at the same rate, and he doesn't offer enough defensively to make up for it. That's the tricky part about having specialists on your roster. They look great in the regular season, but the playoffs are a different beast. So while there's still optimism around Hauser's long-term development, he's another player the Celtics may have to evaluate closely when thinking about who's going to be playable deep into the postseason. And that brings us back to the big picture. The Celtics are operating like a team that knows they're close. They've been to the mountaintop, or at least close to it. And now it's about making sure every piece is in place to finish the job. That's why even minor tweaks matter. That's why you monitor restricted free agents. That's why you keep one eye on other team situations, waiting for the right opportunity. Because championship windows don't stay open forever. And in the Eastern Conference, where Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, and now even New York are all trying to make their move, Boston can't afford to stand still. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are circulating around the TD Garden, and it seems the Boston Celtics locker room might be in turmoil. Sources close to the team claim that Celtics head coach Joe MAZZULLA recently made a startling statement. There is a player contaminating the roster. While Mazzulla's comments have been vague, insiders suggest this could signal internal friction, a possible distraction, or even a looming conflict within the squad. In the high-pressure world of the NBA, team chemistry is as critical as talent, and even the hint of discord can set off alarm bells. Fans and analysts alike are speculating which Celtics star, or perhaps even a new acquisition, could be at the center of this supposed disruption. While Mazzulla did not name names, the choice of words has fueled countless debates on social media, with speculation ranging from locker room politics to clashes over leadership and playing time. Historically, the Celtics have had their share of locker room controversies, but nothing in recent memory has been described in such dramatic terms. The term contaminating suggests more than a simple disagreement. It hints at behavior or influence that could affect the team's performance, morale, or cohesion. As of now, the Celtics organization has remained tight-lipped, offering only the usual reassurances that the team is focused on the season ahead. NBA insiders say this kind of remark rarely comes without reason. Whether it's a warning shot, a subtle signal to management, or an attempt to motivate the squad, MAZZULLA's comment is already generating a ripple effect. Fans are poring over recent games and interactions between players, trying to connect dots that may or may not exist. Could this be about a veteran resisting a new system, a rising star testing limits, or a clash of personalities that's finally come to a head? The truth remains shrouded, but the rumor mill is in overdrive. For now, Celtics supporters are left to wonder. Will this alleged contaminator be exposed, or will the team quietly resolve the matter behind closed doors? One thing is certain. The tension is real, and TD Garden insiders are bracing for a revelation that could shake one of the NBA's most storied franchises. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.